way over the pond, we call it the pond, which is the Atlantic Ocean. He was on bridge and see all of these flashing lights on the shore, so he was getting closer. And they said, what's this? And they said, well, we've had a lot of shipwrecks. And Mr. Fresnel invented these lights that would shine brighter on glass, through glass. And so Alexander said, I'm bringing the concept to the United States. So when he got back from his tour over to across the pond, he went to the government and said, hey, we need lighthouses, we need lenses, and so we don't have any more shipwrecks. So the first light that ever was put in the United States is in Boston Harbor. That's the first lighthouse, and that lens is still there today. And the British, when they left in 1776, they destroyed the lighthouse, but they didn't destroy the lens. They took the lens and put it somewhere, but then the government said, well, we're rebuilding the lighthouse and putting that lens back. So that's the first lens in the United States, and it's still there and still operable today. Our curator, before he retired, he was the light keeper of the Boston Light. And yeah, he's 82 years old now, but he's our curator. And he said that was the toughest job he ever had, be a lighthouse attendant. So what he would do at night, at dusk, he would go in. Now you gotta remember his age, and plus it was electricity. Back then he went in and he turned the switch on, then the light started to rotate. And in the morning, he had to go in and turn it back off. So that was his tough job. So let's go in, and I will give you a little quick tour. These in here, all these lenses that you see here were made in Paris, France, because there's only one factory that built these in the 1800s, and starting in the 1900s, Paris, France made these by Fresnel. His factory is still there today in Paris, France.
And they
still make these lenses over there.
And that's all that they do?
Yes. But no, if you have binoculars,
Oh, okay.
the lenses so you could see brighter and
It's the same
magnify, they're called Fresnel lenses in your binoculars. And this right here, how old are you, young man? 15, okay. This right here was operable and maintained by a 16-year-old girl. 16-year-old girl for 4 weeks in 1863. 1863, she maintained this all by herself. She had an invalid mother, and she had a 5-year-old sister. And this lens came off this island. It's called Matinicus Rock. And her father was the lighthouse keeper, and he was running out of supplies. So he had to go and get some more supplies from Matinicus Rock to Rockland. He rode to Rockland, this is Rockland, and to get supplies to be taken back out there. And while he was gone, there was a big hurricane, all documented in history. He was gone for 4 weeks. So she had to maintain this every day, 7 days a week, for 4 weeks until her father could get back. And she had to maintain it. This is what they had to have to keep it rotating. The weights and gears. It's all done by weights and gears. So every 4 hours, she had to go into the lighthouse up in where the light is. And to maintain, she had to crank it up every 4 hours. And then here it was at night. So she didn't sleep. She had to take care of her invalid mother also, and a little 5-year-old sister. And now the father was gone because they didn't have any supply. So quite a little 16-year-old girl. And she married when her father got back and everything got back to normal, and she got a little older. She married a lighthouse keeper's son. And they maintained their lighthouse wherever they were. And then when her father retired from Tinnicus Rock, her and her husband came back and maintained this lighthouse until they both retired. So, and these lenses are different. Now let's go over to this big lens. This is a number 2. This is the second largest lens in all the world. The second largest. There's one larger, and it's probably 4 feet taller.
Where's that one?
And I'll tell you where this one is. It's probably 4 feet taller and 4 feet wider. This is the number 2. Number 3 is that size. Number 4 is the middle. Number 5, they're called orders. It's out there on the end. We do have a number 6 that's on loan right now in Boston. We're trying to get that lens back here. So, picture this being 200 feet in the air on top of a big cylinder, the lighthouse. This is what rotates.
Oh, cool.
See how that bright light? And it was all done like weights and gears, again, just like that. All weights and gears. And see all these chips, young man? See these here?
Yeah.
Picture this being 200 feet in the air, sitting on top of a lighthouse. What caused all of them? Do you know? Would you guess?
What do you think?
Pardon? Would you guess?
Do you have a guess?
Would you have a guess? Would it be birds? No, I didn't think so either. How about rocks? Would you throw it that high? But the ocean does.
Oh, really?
The ocean throws it that high.
Wow.
During the storms and hurricanes, picture all the water being brought in, and the storms and the waves will just keep churning, taking the rocks and throwing them up. The waves will hit against this 200 feet in the air, and the rocks will chip this. That's what this is all from.
Yeah, the rocks even got up there.
Yeah, oh yes. Just picture that. Just mind-boggling on the force of the waves and the rocks and the wind. So would you like to have a picture taken? They used to have these here. This is Nantucket. The Coast Guard had these ships out in front of ledges that didn't have enough land. So the Coast Guard would anchor these out in front of the ledges that were the rocks that were sticking up out of the ocean, near the land. And so the Coast Guard had this, and they'd have the lights rotating up on the mast to let the ships know that they're getting closer to them. And can you see that little bell right there? See that little bell on the bow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is what it looks like in real life. This is what it looks like in real life. Picture this being on that bow in a real ship. So it had to be a bigger ship to hold all of this weight. And this is what they used to have out there. This is what was on them Nantucket boats.
The Nantucket got in an accident? Or?
Yes, on the sister ship of the Titanic, it got run over in 1934. Evidently, the people that were running the sister ship of the Titanic didn't see this. Every one of these, this right here is the whole coast of Maine. The whole coast of Maine. This is Kittery down here, and this right here is Lubec, Maine, which is the easternmost part of the United States. The easternmost part. And I'll show you where we are. Well, right here, this is Rockland. This is where we are. That's Owl's Head. They call us the Mid-Coast. This right here, have you been up to Bar Harbor?
Yeah, we were there today, this morning.
Then you were right there.
Oh, okay.
Okay? That's where Bar Harbor is. And did you go up on the mountain?
The Cadillac Mountain?
Cadillac
Yeah.
Mountain, did you go up there? You drive up?
Yeah, we drove.
My wife was up there yesterday.
Oh.
Matter of fact, my wife is right here. I gotta go up and get her. That's why I gotta go to Machiasport. I gotta go up and get her. She's up to our son's cottage. Our son has a cottage right there. So, and this light is called Libby light, and that's on the table over there. The lens is on the table. We happen to have Libby light's lens. And this right here is the easternmost part of the United States, like I said. This right here is in West Quaddy. West Quaddy light, right here. This right here is West Quaddy. This is Canada. And out that right there is Canada. The first light that hits the United States every morning
That's cool.
hits this light first. As you can see, there's a lens right there.
So all the lights that you have, that's because the lighthouses aren't operational
Oh,
anymore?
yes, they are.
Oh, they
Yes, the Coast Guard still maintains the lights, and they still maintain the lenses, but they've changed them, they've changed
They
them
change out the light. Oh, okay.
Well, they don't use these anymore. They use acrylic and solar. LED acrylic lenses, not these anymore. It's a lot cheaper.
Oh, okay.
But the buildings are maintained by whoever the Coast Guard gives them to. Have you been out to the Rockland breakwater?
No.
It's a mile out in the ocean. You can walk out to it, you can walk back.
Oh.
And that is all operable now by acrylic and LED and solar. Where we are, it's a mile out in the ocean. You can walk out, it's a big, huge levee.
But the lens is still the
The
same.
lenses is Pemaquid. The lighthouse isn't that much, but you can go up in there. They'll let you tour up there.
Oh, where is
And
that?
that's in Pemaquid, Maine, and you come over here and you see,
45 is, yeah, there.
yeah, see, there he is. That's where Pemaquid is, and this is where we are.
Okay.
You're about an hour or so away from there if you're going south.
Is that near Portland? Where's Portland?
Portland's down here further.
Oh, okay.
Of most of the old lighthouse keepers that we had that took care of the lights on the coast of Maine. So real quick, let's go over and why is this there? Okay, this is all about Abby Burgess. That's the lady that maintained that light. Now, young man, do me a favor. Look way back in that closet. Look way back in there, in the closet. What do you see?
A skeleton.
Yeah, it's a skeleton. Let your brother see also.
Oh, dang.
And go ahead, sir. There's a skeleton, ma'am. And if you're an art lover like I am, this was made for us by Andrew Wyeth. He maintained this. He had it made for us, and he's a jokester. He's the one that put the skeleton in there. Like we all have skeletons in our closet, don't we? And he had a real one. So that's what I really wanted to. And this right here, real quick, this is the type of boat that Abby Burgess's father rode for 9 miles, 6 miles. He rode 6 miles to Rockland to
Oh,
get supplies.
wow.
So we call these double-ended peapods because there's no sterns, there's only 2 bows. So they don't have to turn the boat around, they just have to turn their body around. See how the 2 warlocks? If he sat here and grabbed these, he'd go that way. If he turned around, put the oars in here, he'd go that way, so you don't have
I
to
see.
turn the boat around. They're called double-ended peapods.
Okay.
So, and this is what the Rockland breakwater looks like now.
Okay.
This is a replica of the Rockland breakwater. And you could walk out there
Yeah, we should try to do that.
and walk all the way around it, but you can't get up into the lake. Yeah, I've never been up there, and I've lived here all my life. So, and this end over here is the Coast Guard end, and all the Coast Guard memorabilia. And have we heard about Forrest Gump? Where Forrest Gump ran, this is only about 17 miles from here. You can do the same thing like he did. You could run down, get on it, and knock on the door, but nobody's gonna open. But that's what he did. He ran, but I don't think he ever took I don't think he ran from California to here. Only 17 miles from here. And then he went down to Marshall Point Lighthouse, Fort Clyde, Maine. He got out in the parking lot and ran up and got back in the car and went back to the airport. That's my story of the tour, so to speak. All this is the stuff in the Coast Guard when he was in it. He even got one of these, not too many museums have this here. This right here is a rescue vehicle that they had back in before they had a disabled ship that ran aground and they had passengers on it. The Coast Guard would bring this as close to the disabled ship as they could get. Then they would shoot this here, they'd shoot this cannon out to the disabled ship. And they would tie the rope, and then they would take this and tie that rope onto the end of this big rope, and then they would pull it out, put it on the mast, and then they would pull the people that were on the disabled ship one at a time.
Oh, in that thing.
And this
That's
right
cool.
here, and this is called a britcher buoy, and they would put people in here and haul them back to shore, and
Whoa!
that signifies that's the end of the tour.
Okay.
When I give the students, grade schools, I had 80 kids here one day, 40 at a time. And when I got down here, they were all chow. I cracked that. And they all came to attention. And the teachers were going, no. They got my attention though.
At the beginning of the tour, our tour guide Gary gave us some great information. Unfortunately, just in the beginning, we had some audio issues. So basically, what he said is that Hamilton started all the lighthouses in the U.S. and most of the lights were made in Paris, France. And this was Hamilton's solution for there being fewer shipwrecks.
Is this a model of it?
Yeah.
And over here is
Hello, how are you doing today?
here's a model of the very first lighthouse, and it is still there in Boston. And the first lighthouse in the U.S. And the first lighthouse in America was in Boston in 1760.
This is a second order lens, which means that it's relatively large, because then third order, which is this one over here, is a bit smaller, and then fourth order and fifth order, so it gets smaller and smaller. Even though this lens would have been 200 feet high, there's still chips from the ocean bringing up rocks, flying. So the waves were very powerful. Here's a third order lens, a fourth order lens, and a fifth order lens, so they keep getting smaller and smaller. Okay. Here's a map of all the lighthouses in Maine. There's actually quite a few around the Great Lakes. I didn't know that. And
The US is a Maine.
oh. Here's a map of all the lighthouses in the US. There's actually quite a few around the Great Lakes, which is surprising to me. And most of them are in New England. As you go south, there's fewer and fewer.
Look at this lighthouse. I don't think it's a real lighthouse, but it looks very close. Basically, it reminds me of like houses that you build in tree houses. That's what it's called, tree houses. And you can see stuff through each window. No. Now I see.
Oh, let's see.
Oh my God. That's not says? This is says. This is says.
DA. This exhibit is about the U.S. Coast Guard. Okay. This is the Nantucket, and the bell on the ship is actually the bell over here. But even though it was a pretty big ship, it still got ran over by the sister ship of the Titanic. Just look at the size difference, and all of the people on the Nantucket died. Actually, wait, hold on. I'll redo everything. Okay, here. No, but, nah, it's fine. So actually, the captain and 3 crewmen survived. I just read this. I thought all of them would die, but no, only 7 of the 11 did. But if you survive, how do you, do you climb up the Olympic? Huh. This lighthouse, West Quoddy Head, is the easternmost point on the contiguous United States. So that's where the first sunrise happens, unless you count the Alaskan islands that are technically east. But yeah.
Number 4 here.
Uh-huh. Testing.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we are at the Maine Lighthouse.
No, but now look at this is outside.
Oh, okay. All right. That is the Maine Lighthouse Museum.
My favorite part was the lighthouse board, where it's a whole map of all the lighthouses in Maine, and it's really cool to see if it's still active or not.
And I was surprised that Alexander Hamilton was involved with the first lighthouses in the United States.
Wait.
Testing.
All right, say it one more time.
Okay.
How one you?
And I was surprised that Alexander Hamilton was involved with the first lighthouses of the United States.
What about anything in this museum?
Yeah.
What's up?
They have a great collection of lights. They have a great collection of lights since they all look so unique, and it's like they have a great collection of lights since they're all very unique and look different.
Sure.
And that is the Maine Lighthouse Museum.
My favorite part was the lighthouse wall because it shows you all the lighthouses in Maine and if they're still active or not.
Okay. Each of the lights here are very unique, and it's cool that they used to be part of the actual lighthouses, but now, since the lighthouses got new lights, these ones were able to come to the museum.
And Alexander?
Okay. And I was also surprised that Alexander Hamilton was involved with the United States' first lighthouses.
On to our next stop.
Now we are at the Maine Lighthouse Museum. Our first stop is the Maine Lighthouse Museum.
Next stop?
It's time to check out the Maine Lighthouse Museum.